Third-person shooters are really not my favorite genre of game, and haven't been for about 6 years. I don't want this video to be a condemnation of an entire genre, but it may very well be. There used to be a ton of great third-person shooters in the world, like Jet Force Gemini, a game which is easily in my top 10 games ever list. But that's not the kind of third-person shooter I have a problem with. So let's talk about third-person cover-based shooters. More specifically, let's talk about the two TPCBSs I played in 2012, Max Payne 3 and Spec Ops: The Line. They are, in a lot of ways, completely opposite games. Max Payne 3's story was poorly told with what felt like hours of unskippable cutscenes and pretend cutscene gameplay segments. There was also a giant cockslap to the face of Max Payne fans. But the gameplay used the third-person shooter incredibly well and was some of the best gunplay in years. The Line, on the other hand, was a great little story that was quite well told, but it had the misfortune to be attached to one of the most mind-numbingly average third-person cover-based shooters in... yet. The cover-based shooter is older than you might think. Win-Back Covert Operations, a 1999 N64 game later ported to the PS2 in 2001, is usually credited with inventing the style. It took the basic ability to go into cover from Metal Gear Solid, but took it fully into 3 dimensions, because let's be honest, Metal Gear Solid is only just barely in 3D. Win-Back broadened your ability to shoot from cover, or pop-tarting as I call it, and rolling into cover and switching between cover pieces was pretty much standardized here. Over time, TPCBSs have lost the emphasis on moving between pieces of cover, and they've become more and more static, taking the emphasis on tactical movement that was so cool in early cover-based shooters, and phasing it out in favor of more and more pop-tarting. Kill.switch, in 2003, is credited with adding the blind fire mechanic, and was also a harbinger of things to come, in a way. Kill.switch was a game entirely about the cover mechanic, and that's all the game was, a walking, talking cover mechanic. It wasn't bad, but it was just some game that you would play, and then after you beat it, it was some game that you had played. The story was batshit insane, the cutscenes were confusing as hell and featured impossible acrobatics, and the gameplay was exactly what you'd expect based on the title. Kill, switch. Kill, switch. Compared to the modern cover-based shooter, in which you just kill, 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 switch, it doesn't seem so bad. In early 2006, Advanced Warfighter was released, and later that year, Gears of War and Rainbow Six Vegas were released within 2 weeks of each other, all 3 of them featuring cover-based mechanics with all the trimmings. Blind fire, pop-tarting, etc. Rainbow Six Vegas really doesn't deserve to be lumped in with other TPCBS games, though, because the cover just felt more natural. It was a first-person shooter, after all, with a third-person camera added in to make the cover system easier to use. They might have got this idea from Perfect Dark Zero, released a year earlier. The transition between first and third-person modes was smooth and natural, and the environments just made more sense than the average TPCBS game, which we'll get to in a bit. For now, at least, I'm sure you can see how much farther back the cover-based shooter goes than is commonly assumed. Gears of War may have popularized it, but Advanced Warfighter beat it to the punch with an almost identical system, and even that was heavily based on Kill Switch, which in turn was perhaps inspired by Win-Back, which was by its own admission a Metal Gear Solid ripoff. Anyway, the topic. Comparing Max Payne 3 to Spec Ops: The Line. 2 completely different games based on the same shitty paradigm. The issues. Number 1. Too much fighting. Just like in The Hobbit. A good shooter leaves you wanting more. That's the important key. The worst thing you can do is take your gameplay and make the player tired of it. I got tired of Spec Ops in the middle of every damn fight. Literally, by the time the action music stopped and the dialogue started, I was in no mood to keep playing, even though there were story developments taking place. There are too many waves of enemies, too many encounters between story elements, turret shooting segments that last a goddamn eternity, long stretches with badly placed checkpoints that you have to play over and over again. It was a seriously fatiguing game, and not in the good sense, like, oh, the game is bleak and the story made me tired of all the war. No, I still like war. I'm an American. What I don't like is plugging my backpack into a piece of cover and methodically popping the heads of every soldier in the damn country. This can also lead to a logistical problem. A battalion is around 1,000 soldiers, max. In The Line, you probably kill about that many, not to mention the hundreds probably killed by the locals, the harsh weather, and their own officers. Who cares that it's not realistic for 3 guys to kill 1,000? It's impossible for them to kill more than exists. I can't blame Rainbow Six Vegas and the other games that came out that year for making the third-person cover-based shooter the industry standard, because those games were great. More importantly, the combat was much more metered out than in recent iterations of the cover-based shooter, which was necessary to make the game feel more realistic. Max Payne 3 gets this balls on right. Almost too right, since I was mashing buttons furiously to get out of tedious cutscenes and knowing fake gameplay. For all their skills, Rockstar still have no idea how to integrate gameplay and story. The best thing they've come up with is long periods of travel, during which you can listen to endless, repetitive drivel between the PC and quirky Rockstar character number 517. Max Payne 3 should have been able to cut down on this because it was linear, but instead the action was just repeatedly broken up by cutscenes with dialogue. Cutscenes that never needed to be cutscenes. Take a page from Half-Life or Modern Warfare if you ever make a Max Payne 4. Please. Also, don't make a Max Payne 4. Number 2, weapons suck. The nice thing about first-person shooters is they kind of give an easy bonus to the visceral feel of the guns. A weird problem endemic to third-person cover-based shooters is weak, samey guns. Either to emphasize a very basic flanking mechanic, or to force you to pop-tart and get headshots, guns aren't very accurate or powerful. It seems like the low power is to force you to pop-tart and go for headshots, and the inaccuracy is to make getting headshots a little less piss-easy. We can take the Splinter Cell series as a weird example. The game isn't really a cover-based shooter, though you can try to play it like one. But the extremely short engagement lengths means that for balance, your weapons are pitifully weak and inaccurate. The SC-20K rifle in that series, by which I mean the only 4 games in the series, couldn't score a headshot past 15 or so feet unless you were using 20mm sniper rounds. If you're keeping track, that's an autocannon round. You could put that shit in a fighter jet. In Spec Ops, the guns are the usual weak fare, and since ammo is scarce in a city occupied by a whole battalion, you have to be sparing with your shots. Those same shots that don't seem to do much and are pitifully inaccurate. Boo. Max Payne 3 has it almost even worse. On harder difficulties, enemies have disgusting amounts of HP, and you just have to blaze away at them for solid minutes while they get knocked down, stand up, stagger a bit, fall over, try to get up, fall over, all while being hosed by your pair of SMGs. It was a pain in the ass, and there were, again, ammo limits caused by strangely arbitrary maximum ammo counts. There's a weird paradox here, in that almost every gun in a third-person cover-based shooter is fully automatic, to facilitate firing from the hip and blind firing from cover. Yet the way you're meant to score kills is through headshot pop-tarting, which you have to do with single shots. When guns are designed to fire automatically, the sound and visual design bear that out, and that makes single shots from a dedicated automatic gun really underwhelming. So yeah, the guns are usually weak for balance, and for some perhaps unrelated reason, they're never that cool. Though I have a theory that connects it. If you make a gun sound cool, but it behaves like a standard inaccurate and weak third-person cover-based shooter gun, it would be more annoying than a gun that sounds as weak as it actually is. Number 3, cover-based environments look dumb. Again, this is why Rainbow Six Vegas works so much better than most third-person cover-based shooters these days. The cover never seemed contrived. It was like you were fighting in a real environment that you just so happened to be able to take cover in. Most other TPCBS games have painfully obvious arenas with bizarre distributions of waist-high walls and piles of junk. Cars are too high to shoot over, so let's just make every car in the world a burned-out Hulk sitting on rims. That way it's just exactly waist-high. Excellent. Highways are an obvious choice since they have concrete dividers built right in. I mean, it gets even worse when most of the stuff you hide behind couldn't even conceivably stop a bullet. Ever. Max Payne 3 had piles of suitcases. No. Cars? No. Top Gear could have told you that. Or the Box of Truth. The Mass Effect series was a really bad offender of this, since the weird layout of cover objects almost completely invalidated the visual design of the future. In the future, everything will be awesome, I guess, except we'll have waist-high cover objects basically vomited out onto the ground, so walking around anywhere will be like navigating a goddamn corn maze. During the combat, these environments almost look okay, but once the last shell casing hits the ground, you look back and you're like, shit, where the fuck did all these waist-high concrete barricades come from? Did someone try to make like 30 crisscrossing divided highways all in one place? I could go on, but I shouldn't. I'm hoping third-person cover-based shooters will go away before they kill the industry, but I'm not hopeful. My advice is, don't buy Gears of War 4, if there ever is one, or Max Payne 4, please tell me there isn't one, or Spec Ops The Line 2, there had better not be one. Go pick up Kill.switch. It's not very good, but it's probably worth the $6 or so you'll pay for it. Or Operation Winback. I'd recommend the N64 version so you don't have to hear the awful voice acting made possible by the PS2's increased disk space. Though the graphics are darker and muddier. But it's on the N64, so you knew that already.